Are you a Davis Maddock type? Are you a Terrence Ferguson believer?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So Davis is in. I'm out. Big X. What other can you tell us? Give us the insight. If people haven't checked out Davis's channel, he hasn't been on the show yet this year. What losers is Davis like this year that we can just put big X's through? So Terrence Ferguson.
Ian, you love him too. Go through Ferguson.
Xavier Worthy, is that back on the list for the 18th consecutive year?
Terrence Ferguson had the best 11 catch season I think I've ever seen.
At Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the final episode in the rankings tier for season-long fantasy football. If you missed the rest, what's wrong with you? Just hit the time codes, hit the description. You can find all the links down there and find all the rankings down in the show notes as well. You'll find it there. Today is tight ends. We're not talking tight end premium. We're not talking best ball. You get to play one tight end on your fantasy team. How should you draft them and how high should you take the best ones? Because you're doing replacement value. There's a position at tight end that you can create some huge gaps. And, well, Ian Hartitz from RotoWire is here. Tony Square's on the line with us. Same as the quarterback show. If you missed that, check it out. For a while, Jake and I, who's on vacation in perpetuity at this point, would argue that I would have Travis Kelce in my overall rankings ranked at like 4th or 5th. He was the best first round pick in my mind that you could have outside of like the elite wide receiver, elite running back, because in those peak Kelce years, Ian, he was so much better than every other tight end. There was like an 8-point gap between a guy you have to play versus the second best guy. And then when you start getting down to the streamer guys, you're creating like a 14, 15-point difference against your opponent every single week. The question I have for you is, do we have that now? Because people are treating Brock Bowers that way. I don't know if he's that guy.
I'm pretty excited, man. I can't get up there in round 1 with it or anything, but mid to late round 2 for this year's JSN, yeah, I'm a little bit excited, man. Everything we've seen from Bowers, historical rookie season last year, suffers a PCL injury. You know, I would have taken Ricky Pearsall out for the year. What's he doing when he comes back? Drops 3 tuds on the Jaguars in his first game. I had Ryan Heath on the show last week. He had some crazy stat where, like, Bowers last year, no knee brace on, was averaging north of 16 PPR points per game. In a worst case scenario, OC Chip Kelly got fired before November. Geno Smith led the league in interceptions and sacks. There was nobody to attract attention away from him. I get it. It's not the most clean offense in the world. We're not dealing with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes getting this dude the ball. It would be a lot cooler if we were. I understand that. But, man, Clint Kubiak, we know he's going to funnel the ball with this dude. There's no wide receiver competition. We saw Kirk Cousins get Kyle Pitts going down the stretch. And unlike the Cardinals, Jets, Dolphins, who I could just see, Tony brought up a good point on the quarterback show at the end. Like, all right, these teams are going to be just tanking, trying to, do whatever, lose an extra game or two, perhaps, just by letting their starters sit out. When you got Fernando Mendoza down the stretch, like, you're trying to build momentum for next year. I think it's going to be like a better version of what we saw the Saints and Tyler Shuck do last season. First year head coach, rookie quarterback, like, you're not taking games off at the end of the road. So I really do think that Brock Bowers, man, once you get to around pick 18 or so, I'm going to be clicking him a lot.
Tony, what's the difference between Bowers and McBride?
Well, I was going to say, normally on these types of shows, you want to have a debate built in to create good television, but I agree with everything Ian said about Bowers. However, the difference between him and McBride, end of the year notwithstanding, is I think you can get McBride for a touch cheaper, and he's going to produce just as well as Bowers does. However, Bowers to me is a surefire slam dunk of a pick and a safe pick at that, because you're guaranteed to get Kelce-like production from that team and from that spot in your roster. If you want to wait a second and go with McBride, I'm fine with that as well, because I trust that offense just as much. But if you're looking for upside, I think we've seen the ceiling of what McBride can do, which is unbelievable. But Brock Bowers is just now reaching the potential of what he can bring to a football team. So I'm down for hammering McBride at the 1 spot and hammering Bowers at the 1 spot and having McBride right behind them.
So right now, depending on where you draft, and you can use the ADP tool at 4for4.com. That's the number 4, the word 4, and then the number 4.com. That part you should know. 4for4.com. But you should know code Mayo gets you 25% off. That's a season-long package. That's the daily fantasy package, complete with optimizer and projections. And then the betting package, which could include Sharp Stack if you want it, which is like the best betting tool out there. It'll Code Mayo will get you 25% off all of that. And the higher levels get you the lower levels too. The season-long fantasy is the lowest level. The sharp stack is the highest level. So do with that what you want. I suggest you go get it right now. I'll wait. Thank you for doing that, using Code Mayo. But Brock Bowers in this ADP tool, he's going as high as 8 in FFPC, which is tight end enhanced. On ESPN, he's 22. In NFCC, he's 20. And then you go down to Trey McBride, who is actually going ahead of him on ESPN as tight end number 1, but he's going like a few picks after. So it's really a kind of pick your poison. Which one do you like more? I always kind of lean with Trey McBride in these circumstances. That the only knock on him was really that he couldn't score touchdowns. Well, he scored all the touchdowns last year. This team is no better. They still have Jacoby Brissett chucking the ball 800 times a game, down 30 points. That smells like a great recipe for a situation, Tony, that I'm familiar with. I don't know what this Raiders offense is going to look like. Can Brock Bowers really be yes, does he have the talent to be a number 1 receiver? Yes. Can he do that with no other good receiving options on the team? This I don't know.
Yes.
I hear you. The unknown is there, but we have an unknown with Trey McBride and a new offense coming into that world as well. Will it produce the same as it has in the past? And I will touch on the fact that if you're building a team and you want to have a tiebreaker, I think Trey McBride is running into a Max Crosby situation of last year, where at the end of the season, the team phones him up and is like, hey, Trey, we know you're healthy, but we're going to play off that you have a slight injury here. Just sit you the last 4 games. And Trey McBride is built like Max Crosby. He's not going to want to sit any football games, no matter how much it helps the team's draft stock. So I believe there might be a little contentiousness in Arizona with Trey McBride. And just look at those first 12 weeks on that schedule. Yes, Jacoby Brissett's going to be chucking it down 30 every game, but it's such a tough slate of defenses that this kid has to play. I'm a little bit worried about the guarantees of the high floors of Trey McBride, whereas Bowers, completely new offense. We don't know what it's coming in, but we've seen it work elsewhere. And I think Bowers is good enough that no matter who walks in the door and who's throwing him the football, he's going to be able to put up unbelievable numbers.
Ian, are you one who will make this plunge? Either way, it sounds like it's Bowers for sure for you, and then you would have McBride a little bit back. But it seems like a lot of people are just waiting like an extra round or two, taking Colston Loveland and going about their business and thinking he can produce the same as those guys.
I got something that's really going to piss you off, Pat. I got Colston Loveland tight end too.
Of course you fucking
do. All right.
Of course you do.
I believe in Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams more than freaking Mike LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett, and alongside Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, Carson Beck. All right. Yeah, Trey McBride is the man. I think Colston Loveland is going to be in this same stratosphere. I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year, Colston Loveland is a dynasty tight end 1. We saw him take over the offense down the stretch. All the efficiency, all the nerd numbers tell you this dude's really freaking good. And so do our eyes. And he's in a more condensed offense as well. Burden, Loveland, Odunze, those are the only guys getting the football. And that's for however long Odunze actually has 2 working feet. That's the problem with Arizona, man. McBride's really freaking good, and I'm not taking that away from him. But to act like that Michael Wilson was the only one benefiting from some garbage time, that's just a tough line to play, man. I don't want to use top 3-round picks on guys in hellaciously horrible offenses that we could be getting, just again, to Tony's point, mop-up duty from rookie quarterbacks at the end of the year that aren't Fernando Mendoza, all right? I do believe Fernando Mendoza is going to be good. I don't know that same sentiment with Carson Beck and McKay Klubnik. So, yeah, I'm fading Trey McBride, I'm fading Jeremiah Love, I'm fading Breece Hall, and I'm fading Garrett Wilson. Freaking sue me, man.
So do you think that these 3 guys are all in the same tier then? Or, Ian, it sounds like you have Bowers, then Loveland, McBride. Or do you have Bowers, Loveland, then McBride?
Bowers, Tier, Loveland, McBride, Tyler Warren.
So you think so, Tony? Do you have Tyler Warren anywhere close to these guys? Because I don't.
I have Bowers and McBride in a tier alone amongst themselves, and then I have 3 tight ends in the next tier, and 2 of them are Coulson, Loveland, and Tyler Warren. I think Warren, who was putting up numbers those first 8 games to the same level of a Kyle Pitts his rookie year, or a Brock Bowers even his rookie year. I think Tyler Warren will benefit hugely if Daniel Jones is healthy in week 1. That offense was on fire statistically, like EPA was through the roof compared to like last 25 years of offenses in Indianapolis, and Tyler Warren was a huge reason why. If Alec Pierce is not healthy, I think that actually helps Tyler Warren because of how much focus will be on him in that offense. As for Loveland, same thing I brought up in the QB episode about Caleb Williams. I hate him. I hate his guts. However, he is an unbelievable player. And it showed last year, especially in the playoffs, that he became Caleb Williams' number one target. He trusts that man with anything. And I believe this offense last year had the highest air yards per target to the tight end position. And Loveland is a huge reason why for that. So while I believe I trust Bowers and McBride more, I am very high on Loveland and Warren and would put them just below in their own tier with a player to be named later.
Am I weird for being a bit, how can I phrase this, unnerved by the Colts offense, Ian?
I agree 100%. I think they could be really, really bad. Daniel Jones, toward the right Achilles. That's not good. Even if you don't trust my doctor opinion, listen to Dan Marino talk about it, man. Because that's
well,
what
okay, hold
Dan
on.
Marino, so.
If you've ever looked in Dan Marino's eyes, there's nothing behind there. So
Dan's point was that it was a very big difference between tearing your left Achilles, which is what Aaron Rodgers did, and your right Achilles, which is what Kirk Cousins did when you're a right-handed quarterback, because that's your plant foot, that's your power foot. He's going to be out there, but we have this thing we do in Fantasyland where once we hear the guys going to be out there in week one, we go, oh, everything must be fine. I don't know, man. I'm worried that we're going to see a lesser version of Daniel Jones, Cam Scatterbo, Quinshon Judkins, even if they are going to be out there. So, yeah, we have that going for us. How Daniel Jones looked the last time he was coming off, a bad season-ending injury. That didn't exactly go great. So I think like a lot of things, the truth is probably going to be somewhere in between what we saw in the first 10 games of last year and then what we saw, let's face it, pretty much the rest of Daniel Jones's career aside from 2022. So then you throw in no replacements for Michael Pittman, who's a very good, NFL wide receiver. And Alec Pierce is coming off an ankle injury that for some reason they didn't get surgery on until freaking April. All that said, I think they're going to be bad, but if you have a quarterback whose mobility is down, who can't throw the ball as far, who doesn't have a field stretcher, we're going to see a lot of targets to Josh Downs and Tyler Warren underneath. So I think it's a volume play for Tyler Warren. And just the last thing with Warren would be, if you do, because we've been doing this with Emeka Ibuka, we've said, well, look at his first 6 weeks of the year. If we Benjamin buttoned his season, like we'd be really hyped about it. Similar sentiment for Tyler Warren, man. Like he had a literal grandpa under center for the last 5-6 weeks of the year. It doomed everyone in that offense. So, but overall point though, Pat, about the Colts potentially being bad. Jonathan Taylor wants to go nuclear. Okay. But I do not see his passing game being all that great.
This is exactly what I sat here and said last year, and through 12 weeks, they were amazing. So maybe I'm dead wrong on this. I did have Dr. Edwin Porras on the show on Sunday. You guys can check that out on the channel. It's already up. And we went through all of these guys, and the one that he did have some reservations about was the plant foot of Daniel Jones coming back so quickly from an Achilles, whether it was Scatterbo, whether it was Judkins. Like he had positive things to say about those guys and their recoveries and when they should actually get back to 100%. With Daniel Jones, it just feels like a big mystery, Tony.
No, I'm 100% there with you. And we've brought up before how these injuries they do seem to stretch into future seasons. And if that happens to Daniel Jones, that directly affects what Tyler Warren can do in this offense. So it does worry me. And I do still have him fourth in my rankings. However, I am not clicking that name as often as I am clicking the other three we've already mentioned and one of the other ones we haven't yet, because Tyler Warren's skill set is undeniable. However, in that offense this year, is it going to produce enough for you to be happy with taking him as high as he's going?
Have you ever tried to figure out which supplements you should actually be taking? It's chaos. Everyone's got a different answer. Everyone sounds completely confident. And somehow, the more you research, the more confusing it gets. That's what I like about the approach behind Blueprint's longevity mix. Instead of starting at a cabinet full of different supplements and trying to figure out what goes with what, just one scoop of water, mix it up, and you're done. Easy stuff. Blueprint is built around scientific evidence with study-level dosages and ingredients like magnesium, taurine, and creatine. Longevity Mix is designed to support energy, cognitive performance, mood, focus, sleep, cellular resilience, and healthy aging. Something which I need, by the way. Getting old over here. And you probably know Blueprint founder Brian Johnson, the guy on the internet basically trying to live forever. He's running one of the most measured longevity experiments out there, tracking biomarkers and publishing the data. That experiment-first philosophy is what led to Blueprint. They also third-party test for purity and toxins like heavy metals and publish the results so you can see exactly what is in their supplements. Science-backed, precision-dosed, no BS. For a limited time only, new customers get 20% off plus free shipping at blueprint.brianjohnson.com by using code MAYO at checkout. That's code MAYO at blueprint.brianjohnson.com for 20% off. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support the Pat Mayo Experience and tell them our show sent you, pals. To look at the ADPs of the guys we've talked about so far, in 12-team standard redraft leagues, Brock Bowers is going with the 6th pick of the second round. McBride's going at pick 11 in the second round. Colston Loveland's going with the 4th pick in the 4th round. Then you wait another round. The 4th pick of the 5th round is Tyler Warren. Then we wait a whole lot more. So who is your number 5 guy, Tony?
It is my man, Tucker Kraft, who led the NFL in EPA per target last season. He also had a 33% red zone target share in this offense, had 6 touchdowns in 7 games fully healthy in this offense, and now he is off the PUP list. We're talking about injuries that come into next season. Tucker Kraft is supposed to be fully healthy, and if he's playing week 1 through week 18, I believe Tucker Kraft will absolutely pay off being the 5th tight end off the board, and I think he could put up numbers with the Colston Lovelands of the world in the Packers offense that is really in the red zone, built around running the ball and Tucker Kraft off the edge. They love the yards after the catch with this guy. They plan so many tight end bubble screens around this guy because of what he can do with the ball in his hands. I think he is by far the biggest asset in this Green Bay offense, and I think him going as the 5th tight end, I think there's a big drop after this, but I think Tucker Kraft going in this round is the guy I'm clicking on the most.
There's 4 tight ends all going in the 7th round. Tucker Kraft being the first, Ian. LaPorta going 1 pick after. Then you wait 2 picks. Then there's Kyle Pitts. Then there's Harold Fannin. So much of Tucker Kraft's ability comes after the catch. He's a very low ADOT and some of the best yak of anyone in the league, at least a year ago. Yep. He, too, is coming off a season-ending injury. Would you worry about that?
I don't love it. But they all have something. Sam LaPorta had back surgery. Harold Fannin had groin surgery.
And how good was Sam LaPorta?
So here's my hesitation with Tucker Kraft. He's so fun, man. Him, Fannin, like Darnell Washington, watching these dudes with the ball in their hands just wreck over people. Like, it is awesome. But it's that average target depth, bro. 4.8 yards. That's Khalil Shakur shit out here. And it is great when he's at 100% and he can do his best George Kittle impression. He's running through everyone. But when we have such a weird kind of sort of role for a guy like that, and an offense we like, to be fair, I just get worried, man. I did look it up. Only 2019 George Kittle has actually put forward a top 3 scoring season over the past decade with an average target depth under 6.5 yards. So we've seen Kraft work downfield more. He had a long catch against Washington and Pittsburgh. Like, I don't think he can't do it necessarily, but certainly wasn't really asked to last year. So I have Pitts in the tier. I have Kraft in the tier. I have him tight end 7. I do have LaPorta and Pitts ahead of them because I am trying to buy more into that downfield mindset and the ability. And also, man, this Lions offense, let's face it, look at these offense. Like, Packers could be good, okay, but Lions compared to Falcons, like, we use the same thing for Bijan versus Gibbs, and it makes sense. Why not use it for LaPorta versus Pitts?
Well, you just said downfield, and one of these guys has Tua throwing him the ball.
Can we just get Penix? If I never watched Tua play another football game, I would be so happy.
Is Penix even going to be ready?
I can't really say respectfully.
Everyone tore their Achilles 3 weeks ago, and they're going to be ready for week 1, but apparently Penix can't be. That's impossible.
I know, right? Oh, my goodness.
I do love how we spent a whole entire hour-long show talking about quarterbacks, didn't mention Penix nor Tua at all in any of those rankings. Shows you where our faith is there. But you have Kraft 7th behind LaPorta and Pitts. Is that simply because of the ADOT, but is that also the injury stuff creeping in? Like, if I told you he's a fully healthy player week 1, would you put him any higher?
Probably not, man. Probably not. He benefited a little bit, too, from those other guys being banged up. He didn't have Christian Watson to compete with. Jaden Reed was out of the picture as well. We know they like using Reed on the underneath areas of the field. So
Matthew Golden took a gap year.
Yeah, people just act like those things didn't happen for Matthew Golden last year. They're like, oh, how could he have gotten anything going? It's like, I don't know, kind of had a lot going his way. So, look, I will say this. There's holes in all these dudes. Like Harold Fannin, again, great player, but I don't love the Browns offense. No one loves the Browns offense. Look at those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The one thing, because I've run these numbers because we have this constant issue with running backs like Achane and Genty going on early on. If you look at top 12 fantasy performers last decade per game and bottom 10 scoring offenses, there's been 24 tight ends There's been 30 combined quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. So tight end has been the one position that has been most immune to an overall low-scoring offensive environment, which I think speaks to the reality that, like, if you are running your entire passing game to a tight end, there's a decent chance that you're not going to be a very good offense. So I will give, again, Fannin and these guys a little bit of slack there. But Pat, I'm kind of like Ricky Bobby this year in tight ends. Like, I'll go early, I'll go first, or I will go last, man. Like, just this mid-tier tight ends, there's still running backs, there's still wide receivers I like. Dalton, Kincaid. Why draft Tucker Kraft? I'm sorry, I can just get the real awesome version of Tucker Kraft and George Kittle like 3 or 4 rounds later.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. So the opportunity cost of drafting Kraft, LaPorta, Pitts, and Fannin with where they're going is right now, oh, your boy, Ian, RJ Harvey is going there. Lemon is there. Quentin Johnson is there. Chuba Hubbard, Alec Pierce, Cortland Sutton, Ramondre Stevenson.
Not doing me any favors here, Pat.
DK Metcalf, Jordan Tyson, Tony Pollard, Parker Washington, Caleb Williams. Like, this is the
Parker,
range.
Jordan Tyson.
Like,
there we go.
Like, would you rather have Harold Fannin or Justin Herbert?
Herbert.
And
I'm the same way.
Yeah, Trevi's going there, Dak's going there, because the way that we spoke about quarterbacks, and Jared made this point to me when we took the break in between the shows, was like that there's no real difference, it seems, between quarterback 8 and 18. Like, they're all kind of the same guy. Mix them around and you might get the right order. That's how it feels to me. Like, once you get past, I'm probably more pro Tucker Kraft than Ian is. I'm kind of with you, Tony, that I like him at number 5. But to Ian's point, I would rather just draft George Kittle 3 or 4 rounds later, because he might be the same guy too if he's fine.
No, that makes sense. And if that's sort of the mindset of it, the fact that, same thing, the difference between TE5 and TE15, how big is that difference? I guess I just see Tucker Kraft's in a fully healthy year with this Green Bay offense where Romeo Doubs is not taking 125 targets and Dontavian Wicks is also giving up targets on his end. I think Tucker Kraft is the beneficiary of that alongside Christian Watson. But I understand, if I'm going to hammer a tight end, it's going to be early. I think there's a big drop-off after 5, and you guys think there's a big drop-off after 4. And then these middle guys, it's a dime a dozen to me. And I whether it's George Kittle or Kyle Pitts or Dalton Kincaid, it doesn't matter on my end.
I think there's a big drop-off after 3, Ian. I don't think that Tyler Warren deserves to be included in that, like, Colston Loveland type of, because the upside isn't there for him where it is with Loveland. Like, maybe they produce the same, but I feel like if they produce the same, that means that Warren had a pretty good year and Loveland failed to meet expectations.
I just think Warren could have a gross, bad Colts offense, and we look up at the end of the year, he's got 95 catches or something like that. He just kind of gets there on pure volume more than anything else. So I hear your sentiment, though.
Well, hold on.
I agree with your overall point, Pat.
What you said just described better Harold Fannin.
Which is why I am not begrudgingly, I'm happy for your success, Pat. I will admit that you are correct. I think there should be a tier break after the top 3.
So let's do that. Let's come up with these rankings. So we go Bowers number 1. That seems to be the move for you guys. You guys outvote me. Then it's McBride. And then it's, I guess, Tony, comes down to you, because I'm going to take McBride over Colston Loveland. Ian would take Loveland over McBride. What would you do?
Oh, I'm taking McBride, and I think there's a tier break just based on guarantees.
Isn't this kind of the weird thing with fantasy ranks, though? Because, as you said, Pat, a ton of people are like, I don't really like drafting McBride in round 3, but I love Colston Loveland in round 4. Like, how are people supposed to get that through their head when they're looking at your rankings?
They don't. That's why they got to watch shows.
Fair enough.
That's why we do this stuff. And rankings, so like even everyone's philosophy on rankings are totally different. Like some people will just spit out projections like, hey, these projections are my rankings. And those are going to be pretty accurate rankings, but it leaves no room for nuance within those rankings. That what is currently happening in my draft? Was there a tight end run? Well, if there's a tight end run and these 3 guys get gobbled up early, well, then I wait 13 rounds and draft a tight end. It doesn't even matter who number 7 is ranked. That guy's going to be gone. It doesn't matter to me because the difference I have between 7 and 15 is negligible. That's why I do think that tiers do make sense to me in a weird way.
I would just say I like making it very clear the guys that I'm high on. That's why I have Jalen Waddle ranked inside the top 12. All right. No, you probably don't need to draft him in the top 12, but you out there listening right now, you know your league better than me. You know the providers as well, and you should be try to be on top of that ADP. So I do just think though, man, nothing's worse than sitting there in round 4 and you're at the turn. You're like, I think I can wait till round 5 to get the guy I really want. And then all of a sudden he does get sniped. So there's probably a happy medium. I'll say this. I got to pod with Matt Waldman the other day. He has Parker Washington, wide receiver 14. And I respect the hell out of that mindset, man.
Well, didn't I read you the Jags schedule to start the year? So is he the receiver? If he's the receiver 1, he's in for some hurt.
Don't be the schedule guy, Pat. Don't be the August.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't look at schedules. That's my bad, Ian.
At the extremes, they make some sense.
Where do we go with Kittle then? Because after Kraft, I would take Kittle. Like in ranking for, and I would probably end up with way more Kittle because he's going 35 picks after him. I'd rather have Kittle than LaPorta.
33 coming off Achilles.
Yeah, and also that substation has taken a lot of people out, and Kittle could be next on the list. But I am big on LaPorta because of Petzing coming in and what he's done with Trey McBride before. LaPorta was a huge factor in this offense, and the fact of the matter is, I think he can get back to his old ways, because if he was fully healthy last year, I think Jared Goff would have taken a lot less hits than he did. I think he was the second most hit quarterback in the league last year behind Justin Herbert, because the interior of that line was falling apart, and he didn't have the safety valve that LaPorta brings. It's a terrible air yards offense. It's very low to the wide receivers. It's very low to the tight ends. But however, LaPorta, just like Warren, could be the beneficiary of some cheap targets and what they build around him in this new offense. So I have LaPorta higher, even though Kittle has shown us in the past he's Superman.
Evans already hurt too, Ian. There might just be McCaffrey and Kittle by the time we get to the season.
And that's the other argument for it. Maybe Kittle sitting out while the substation just takes out the rest of his target competition is actually the move. We've only seen Kittle truly be the only show in town one time, and he's set the freaking tight end receiving yard record. So Kittle's the man. Maybe he just got that ultimate dog in him. But the way we talk about this, like, he tore his Achilles, but it was the kind that's not quite as bad as a normal
good Achilles. It's
tear.
like having the good Hodgkins. Mario Lemieux had the good Hodgkins. You don't want to have the bad Hodgkins. You're not coming back from that. The good Hodgkins, you can come back and score 80 goals with. The good Achilles, Kittle can come back from.
I guess so, even at 33 years of age. But, that certainly seems more than priced into it. Like, again, if Kittle was fully healthy, we knew he was good to go this season, we'd probably be talking to him right in the same area as like Loveland. We'd be debating him versus Loveland right now.
And you can get him at pick 105.
No. Yeah.
That's not wrong. It's the same thing I brought up to you about Kraft. If I could guarantee you he was healthy week 1, where would you draft him? And if I'm there with Kittle, man, you're absolutely right. He's higher. He's in that Tyler Warren era tier of people. So maybe he should be above LaPorta, but I guess I'm just worried that at 33 years old, he is not the same person coming back from that Achilles at this stage of his career.
Now, there's a show that I recorded where I threw out this theory, but that's in the future. So this is the first people are going to hear about it. People are looking at the wrong things with this substation. It's actually haunted, and they need to bring in Ghostbusters to get rid of it. No one's even thought of this yet.
Bring in Sam Darnold. He is the Ghostbuster at this point, right? So, no, I'm open to that theory, Pat.
All right, so more positive spin for Kittle before we can throw a monkey wrench into this entire thing. What did Zach Ertz finish in points per game last year at tight end? Was he top 10?
I'm on it.
It's got to be close, right?
He's been up there. And I will like tight ends, other than quarterback that just gets the old, playing until they're 40. Like tight ends do age way better than like running backs or wide receivers, obviously. Let's see. Zach Ertz, points per game. He was 19th. Nothing
really
crazy.
It felt like he went on a run for a while and was really good.
But we only had 1.3 fantasy points difference between tight end 19 Zach Ertz and tight end 10 Tyler Warren. So that's the other argument.
Okay, so but the point I was going to round about, and I was wishing that Zach Ertz would have been a little bit better, is that even if Kittle is 80% of what Kittle used to be, that makes him like 300% of what Zach Ertz was last year for athleticism, that he could just have one of those years where, the explosive plays aren't going to be there anymore, but Zach Ertz put up 50 for 504 and 4 touchdowns on 72 targets. That Kittle season could easily be like 71 catches, 830 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Like, that's not crazy at all.
Yeah.
And that
I
makes
don't
him
hate it. I don't hate it because I do love me some Brock Purdy and having his little safety valve as my TE1. I do not dislike it one bit. And I do have him 7th on my individual rankings right behind LaPorta. So flopping those two ain't exactly a stretch for me personally. But I know, did you mention Kyle Pitts as well, Ian?
Yeah, I think it's again, LaPorta, Pitts, Kraft, Fannin. Kittle's right there. And Dalton Kincaid too, Pat. I bet Pat hates Dalton Kincaid.
Here we go.
Yeah. He's basically Canadian.
What's wrong with Dalton Kincaid?
Does he have mystery injuries this year? Or is he fully healthy this time?
He already dealing with something.
Of course he
dealing
is.
with something.
The guy's a walking triage unit.
Here's the case for Dalton Kincaid when you're at that point in the draft, though. It's like Andrews, Kelce, Ferguson. I just think we know who they are. They're going to be low-end tight end ones. And I think the Bills want to play Dalton Kincaid if he's healthy. I know it's an if he's going to be healthy. If we get outside of week 1, though, and it's like Kincaid plays 75% of the routes, all of a sudden he's going to be up there around tight end 5, tight end 6. He was unbelievable last year when he was playing. So I know that's a concern, but he finished, I think, tight end 13, tight end 14, limited sample size. So he's a really good example, though, I think, of someone you can buy way closer to their floor than their ceiling. Like Kincaid, likely, and Chig, pending the Stephon Diggs signing. Like those are the 3 late round tight ends I want to be throwing darts at.
Yeah, I think Chig over Kincaid 10 times out of 10 if I'm drafting today. And even if I'm drafting tomorrow and Diggs is signed or Ayuk is signed by Washington, he's still going to be a focal point of this offense. He has to be.
I agree wholly. And the fact that you just named Kincaid, Chig, and Likely, those are the next 3 guys that I have after this whole Pitts Fannin run. Because if you're at this point in the tight end room and you've waited, or maybe you've got an early guy, you're trying to take a stab on someone, I'd much rather go with the guy that has the high upside, maybe on a new team, maybe he's coming into his prime here, rather than a Mark Andrews, a Jake Ferguson, a Dallas Goedert, who definitely have higher floors. But I'm going to go and shoot my shot on a guy like Kincaid, Chig, and Likely. Chig over Kincaid is probably a little bit too much to me. I think Buffalo has a much more surefire offense, and Kincaid, when healthy, can be really productive there. And then Likely in New York, you guys know how high I am on Jackson Dart, and I think Likely is a huge reason why. So it's funny that you mentioned those 3 names. They're literally grouped together in their own tier on my list.
Why isn't Dallas Goedert getting any love here? They lose A.J. Brown. He is a fixture in that offense. Yeah, he's boring, but he probably outscores like half the guys we just named.
That's pretty much it. I don't have a great answer for it. I will say, like the one thing Kevin Patullo did last year was apparently just design these weird, wonky goal line design touches for Goedert. It wasn't like he was going up and like winning these fades against, a safety. It was literally like a jet sweep. It was shovel passes. They were just designing one weird touchdown after another Goedert. But when you do add in A.J. Brown being gone, it would make sense if Goedert's like red zone usage more naturally goes up. But he is getting up there in age a little bit. I just think last year was kind of like he finished tight end 6 last year, but he was still only, again, like we're just at the point where Kyle Pitts was 12.4 fantasy points per game. Colston Loveland was 10.3, and that's tight end 5 versus tight end 16. I think with Goedert, you're going to get a low-end tight end 1, and that's okay. What you should do, Pat, is if you are waiting this late in the draft, get a Dallas Goedert and then get a Dalton Kincaid or an Isaiah Likely, and you got the best of both worlds.
Well, Tony, you could just draft Travis Kelce for free, who was like 5th in fantasy points at tight end last year.
I don't know if you've seen pictures of him returning to practice. No offense, I'm a bigger man myself, but he looks like me walking out there during training camp. And, congrats. He got married. He had a lot of wedding cake. I'm sure he will be fine come week 1, but I am out on drafting Travis Kelce at the price he is at. However, when you bring up the Dallas Goederts of the world, we're talking about redraft rankings, and most of those redrafts are your home leagues, your work leagues, stuff you're doing with your family, with your buddies, and we've all been there in the draft. You kind of want to win the room over. So do you want to draft Dallas Goedert and have everyone just go, oh, okay, Tony got Goedert, on to the next one? Or do you want to make a splash? It's like drafting David Montgomery. He's going to have a great year numbers-wise, but that's a boring pick, and we both know it is. So Dallas Goedert, to me, goes a little bit lower on my personal rankings because sometimes you want a little flash. You want a little pizzazz.
Only guys that we haven't brought up yet. Jake Ferguson had a really good year last year in what's still going to be a pretty potent offense. And I brought up Tyler Shuck a bunch, but like Juwan Johnson, Ian, my guy from last year, that guy produces.
It was nice, man. It was, as someone who's drafted Juwan very late round for several years, it was nice for it to finally work out once. I would just say, I mean, him and Olave, it is funny how we talk about Shuck really benefiting from the schedule. It was going on for those guys too. And we had no Rashichi. That Saints team was like, Olave is more talented than him, but there was a lot of Michael Wilson to some of those games that he was doing. They just kind of happened to be winning them because they were playing just god-awful competition. So my concern for Juwan would be the presence of Jordan Tyson. And also, they brought in Oscar Delp as well as Noah Fant. And while Juwan was playing like a full-time role in the first month or so of the season, once Foster Moreau and once Taysom Hill were healthy, they were way more willing to rotate him. So Juwan's fine. Again, last season went amazing. Right. And he was tight end 12. Like, that's just, I'm not trying to start my freaking, fantasy league with someone like that.
Look, we're trying to find guys here at the bottom of the draft that you can take in the last round, like Colby Parkinson. Do you buy into, without a running back, AJ Barner is going to be the goal line back for the Seahawks?
One of these years, man, he was actually the NFL's most efficient third and fourth and short rusher last season. If one of these years we're going to get the dude taking the tush pushes instead of just these 4th and 1s. Mark Andrews does as well, but they have Derrick Henry. I could see Tyler Warren doing it if Jonathan Taylor ends up going elsewhere. So it is interesting for Barner. I think they'll give it to Darian Price or Emmanuel Wilson, but I mean, those are definitely lesser names than the dudes we were talking about. If we wanted to get real gross, though, the only other guy, and I'll tell you, I'll see if you can guess it. Who's the one guy going outside the top 20 where if we got a full-time role in week 1, we're ranking him in the top 10?
Is it a guy where
do
you sit on your hand until it goes numb and then you try to do something and give yourself a stranger?
You lost him.
Are you a Davis Maddock type? Are you a Terrence Ferguson believer?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So Davis is in, I'm out. Big X. Can you tell us? Give us the insight. If people haven't checked out Davis's channel, he hasn't been on the show yet this year. What losers is Davis like this year that we can just put big X's through? So Terrence Ferguson.
Ian, you love him too. Go through Ferguson.
Xavier Worthy, is that back on the list for the 18th consecutive year?
Terrence Ferguson had the best 11 catch season I think I've ever seen. Rams tight ends last year. If you take team tight end totals, all right. If we had if we had team defense, but for tight ends, it was the Cardinals number 1. It was the Rams number 2. But it was just Colby Parkinson getting spammed with some of these goal line touchdowns. I know him and Higbee and Davis Allen and freaking Max Clare now. It's probably going to be an annoying committee. But if you are going to throw a late round dart or someone, like if you wanted to pick these tight ends who actively could all of a sudden do something, it being a sick offense like the Rams and it being an offense without a wide receiver 3, there has been some constant camp hype for Ferguson under that element, saying that he could be the third pass down option. Again, what's more likely than not, they continue to rotate the guys, but Ferguson gets used downfield a lot. We love the offense. We believe in the talent. We just need the full-time role. Is he going to get it? Probably not. You could imagine what it'd be like if he did.
I know. It'd be nice. There is one guy outside I don't know if he might be TE 20 in redraft leagues, but we've been spoiled the past few years of the Tyler Warrens, the Brock Bowers, the Colston Lovelands that just erupt their rookie season. And yet there's a first-round rookie tight end being drafted outside the top 20 that has the potential to light the world on fire because Frank Reich is the one calling the plays for him. I'm all aboard Kenyon Sadiq as a late-round dart play because I think this team is going to be terrible. Don't get me wrong. The defense is going to be terrible. They're going to have to throw the football to keep ahead, and I think Kenyon Sadiq is a huge threat and a huge weapon in this offense. Frank Reich, when he was in Indianapolis, his first 2 seasons calling the plays, they were 4th and 5th in the league in tight end target share. And that's with Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle. When he was in Philly, they threw it 50% of the time to the tight end position. They love to use tight ends in the Frank Reich system. And I know Taylor is there, but did Brock Bowers worry about Michael Mayer? He did not. Excuse me. I think Kenyon Sadiq is going to have a huge season. And if you want a dart throw, that's the dart I'm throwing. And yes, I understand news just came out recently that he's still dealing with a hernia surgery and he's supposed to be ready for week 1. Everything I just said is null and void if he doesn't make the actual team because he's injured. But if he's healthy, I love him.
I didn't realize he was Idaho strong. He's got that potato explosiveness, Ian.
He played like a quarterback in Idaho, and they just made him an athlete at Oregon. Well, it was interesting with Kenyon Sadiq. And here's the thing. I said I don't want to draft, Cardinals and Jets in the first 3 rounds, but if you want to throw a late-round dart at a first-round pick, man, I'm cool with that. I looked at the because I watched Sadiq at Oregon. I was like, how many screens are they throwing this guy? And that's usually something, that we almost hold as like a negative against wide receivers. Think about, Zachariah Branch and some of those conversations. But for tight end, it was like the other tight ends that got a screen on at least 20% of their college targets. It was Sadiq ahead of everyone. Bowers was right behind him. Tucker Kraft was on that list. Harold Fannin was on that list. It was just one stud NFL tight end after another. Elijah Arroyo was mixed in there, but you know what? He was injured year one. People had, fans of him as well. So
Super Bowl winner, Elijah Arroyo.
Super Bowl winner, yeah, Drew Lock too. But with Kenyon Sadiq, I think there is something to the idea where, like, if you were so good that a good college offense just wants to find ways to get you the ball, there's something there. So I'm a little worried that, again, they're just going to suck, and Mason Taylor is going to be like a Cole Kmet to Loveland or a Dawson Knox to Kincaid and stuff. So there's a reason why he's ranked that low, but we could also, to Tony's point, be sitting here in week 8 being like, oh yeah, the consensus number 1 tight end in this draft class is actually a really freaking good football player.
Yeah.
Maybe. If let's say something happened to George Kittle now and he was out for the season, how high would Jake Tonges go?
Do we
like 7th?
Tight end 4?
Oh, even higher. Okay.
I'm kidding. 7th. I was joking, Pat.
I wasn't. The guy was good when it was just him. Come on.
He was. But I'd still roll with the Dalton Kincaids and the Chigs of the world than a Tonges. That's just me. Maybe like if you got in Mark Andrews, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert area, then maybe you could convince me for a Tonges. But I'd rather have the upside of a guy that could come into his own than a career backup. No offense to the Tonges family.
Yeah, I'd rather have him than like Harold Fannin at that point. Like that would be my discussion point, like 8 or 9.
That's a rough take. That's a rough take.
That's a good take.
I can't.
A winning take.
I can't leave this tight end tight end conversation without mentioning my alma mater's pride and joy, Rondé Gadsden. Is there any hope that he could improve in year 2?
Well, Chargers tight end 3.
Yeah. Like they signed Njoku. Is Njoku washed? Because he wasn't 2 years ago, and he just happened to play for the worst offense alive last year. Maybe putting freak athlete David Njoku back into this offense, red zone presence, David Njoku, that he just catches 10 touchdowns.
Maybe it opens up the field for Rondé Gadsden.
They're playing 3 tight ends.
I'm not worried about Njoku. I think Charlie Kohler is going to lead this freaking tight end room.
He's going to lead in snaps.
He had 2,100 yards in college at Iowa State. He was just playing behind Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. They paid him money. He's the one that can block, and he can also go out there and make some plays as a receiver. Rondé Gadsden's a wide receiver that put his hand in the dirt for 4 weeks, and it was a fun time. All right. So I agree that Njoku could be a problem as well. So Gadsden, when he was going like still, top 15 or whatever, that was insanity. He's not anymore. Yeah. So you do get to that point in the draft, and it's like, hey, I mean, how many guys have had a 4-week stretch as good as Rondé Gadsden? There is something to that, but I'm buying the Charlie Kohler. Should we draft any of these guys? Absolutely not. But Charlie Kohler is going to be tight end 1 in Los Angeles.
But it's fun naming names in that they're tight ends and people know them. We're just sitting around naming names here. You mentioned Greg Dulcich on the earlier show when we were talking about Malik Willis and the quarterbacks. He could be wide receiver 1 on this team for all we know.
Dulcich and Gunnar Helm actually had pretty decent numbers in a limited sample last year. Do I still want to draft them? No, I drafted Dulcich a lot in best ball, but we're not talking about that today. So we'll see. I will say the one thing working for Dulcich, he was being featured a little bit down the stretch last season in an offense with no wide receivers. And while Bobby Slowick wasn't the offensive coordinator, obviously Mike McDaniel was calling plays. He was the senior passing game coordinator for Miami last season. So again, if you want to try to be like last year was kind of the first time we saw an offense trust Greg Dulcich to actually be a piece of the passing game, the new guy calling plays was a part of that, brain trust.
Remember when they brought back Darren Waller and he scored 2 touchdowns in the first game?
He looked good. I think he still wants to play.
Like, is he just
what team can we put Darren Waller on? That's a good question. Maybe Miami.
But put him on the Chargers. Let them run 4 tight ends.
Put him on the Rams. Damn it! They got.
Oh,
Terrence
give him
Ferguson.
the Cincy, bro. That'd be sick.
Gesicki.
I want Eric All to break out. Eric All is my guy.
Is he back? I mean, even when we went through like all the biggest names we could think of with Dr. Porras, with all the guys coming back. He didn't make the list. Is he okay?
Wow, Edwin slacking. I love Dr. Porras. He got hit by a car this summer. He's brushed it off, bro. He's a beast.
Oh, I did.
Oh my goodness.
Do you know who is backing up Greg Dulcich in Miami this year?
Will Kazmarek.
It is Ben the Sims. Not to be confused with Cam the Sims from Washington Redskins past.
Steven the Sims. I made that joke on Twitter and got like 15 likes. I was just so mad. I thought it was actually good.
Look at you. Oh, I only got 15 likes. Look at me. I'm big shot. 200K followers. Ian Hartitz.
All right. I'm sorry. Man of the people. I like to pretend I am anyway.
Pat, it feels good to get the likes and the adulation when you put yourself out there, whether it's a tweet or a short video form, which your listeners can find me on Tony Squares on TikTok and Instagram. It feels good to get those likes coming back to you, okay? A little bit of love. A little bit of love out there.
I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry, everyone. I'll watch the film and get better.
All right, that'll do it for tight ends. You can find the entire list down in the show notes. The next show we have for rankings purposes are going to be my top 150. Will I name all 150 players? Maybe, but probably not. We'll talk about the ones that are important and the decisions that you need to make. Jake will be back. Tony will be joining us for other things throughout the year, so go support him. Tony, what's your handle on X?
Tony Squares NFL on X, Tony Squares everywhere else, and Tony Squares NFL on YouTube as well.
And you got to start covering the challenge instead of just Survivor so I can watch.
Just so you can watch? You haven't seen my Survivor stuff, Pat? What's going on?
I haven't watched Survivor since season 3.
That's the point. I went through every season and recapped it on my channel. This is for you. This is for people like you.
All right. Well,
that's real? I thought that was a bit.
I went through every single season in 49 straight weeks, Ian. That's how I got to where I am today. Brick by brick.
Hey, did you watch Did you watch Send Help with Rachel McAdams, the new movie?
No, I know I have to. I know it's all about Survivor. I will say I went through the first 11 seasons with commercials still on my Paramount account. And once I got rid of commercials, but Paramount Plus expanded or whatever the F it's called, like changed my life. I felt so angry at myself for watching commercials for 11 straight weeks. Sorry.
Well, how much was the add-on per month? Like $2 to get rid of commercials?
It's like $4. Best $4 I ever spent.
Yeah, think about Ian just spent probably $4 on whatever fucking green drink he had before the show. How much are those things?
Huel is a sponsor and my former employer, so I have a bunch of these just wasting away in the fridge. I'm sorry. I think Huel sucks. I can say it now. Cool. Mediocre drink. Don't buy it.
Huel, if you're listening, I do not have a drink sponsor for my YouTube channel, and we are gladly accepting. If you want to send stuff my way, we'll put it right behind you on the shelf right here. It'd be all great.
Tony will say it is fantastic. It is the best green drink anyone has ever had. It is the greatest. Just like Ian's rankings and content, which you can find in the show notes, the direct link. You can also find them at RotoWire.com. Ian, between you and Theo and the entire gang over there, you got a ton going on. Tell people the one thing they need to go see so they can get hooked.
Yeah, man. Just go check out Fantasy Football with Ian Hartitz on YouTube. Oh, man. This is fun. I love you guys.
Those are the ranks. Appreciate everyone tuning in. If you got a tight end sleeper, tell us in the comment section. Make it easy on a sub to Mayo Media Network. There's audio and video on Spotify and Apple. It would really help you sub to all of them. And you don't even need to fucking listen. Just download them. That's good enough for me. That helps the numbers go up. And we'll be doing some fun giveaways coming up for week 1 of the football season. So please stay tuned. All right? I'll be releasing all of my rankings sent directly to you for free in the free Mayo Media newsletter, which you can sub to. Guess where? Show notes. A lot of stuff down there if you didn't know. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!